So if we were losing weight, right? Lose weight. If we were... no, those are not embedded commands. If we were losing weight, okay? Lightening up. And we got on the scale. We go, oh my gosh, I'm 10 pounds lighter than I am last week. Boom, instant feedback. Very cool. Now, at the same time, I can get up, and I wear my blue jeans for like 3 days in a row. I don't get them dirty, so what the heck? I wear them for like 3 days. On day 3, they're pretty loose, right? And so I could think, oh my gosh, I'm losing weight. And then day 4, I put on a new pair, and they're tighter because they just came out of the wash and the dry, right? Boom. Like, oh my gosh, I've gained like 10 pounds in a night. I can feel it because of the way my clothes feel. Okay, another strategy. Hey, John, you're looking good. Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, it looks like you're losing weight. Yeah, cool. If I gotta wait for someone to tell me that, for my evidence procedure about how my diet is going, notice what we're getting at here. Evidence procedure is very, very important because, yeah, quite frankly, if you're expecting girls to jump through hoops, you're gonna have to jump through hoops. If you're expecting... Forget about the level of force. When I walk up to the bar, and there's the girl that I see, but she doesn't see me yet, and as soon as I notice, oh my god, there's a feeling of emptiness in my body, and I allow my breath to synchronize with hers, and I touch the bar with the intent of touching her appropriately, whatever that means. And there's a shift. There's a shift. Her eyes usually glaze over. Okay, and again, this is the typical stuff. A little bit of eye glaze over. The body lines up better. I'm not talking like they don't go into a full yoga pose, but literally, the energy centers of the body, the whole way up the front of the body, line up a little bit better. Okay, sometimes there's a hair flicker, she looks over, or something like that. Boom. There's an instant change before she sees me. Okay, now if we're going to talk about evidence procedure, okay, like I said earlier, do you want, teenage cheerleaders and their soccer moms to do your bidding, which is the low level of force? Or do you want to embrace people with power? Now, if I was walking up to the bar and I got that feeling, and I look over and go, ooh, yeah, you know what, I could satisfy her. And you know what, she's pretty good looking. That would feel good to... Now we're down in the level of force. If we drop down into that level of lust, of desire, okay, here's what happens. Okay, and tell me if you haven't seen this before. The girl looks over, and in her head she goes something like, oh yeah, that jerk just wants me for my body. Boom, done. So she still feels the emptiness. Now I get to feel the emptiness. Ugh. Get it? If we're going to play with evidence procedure, okay, you can go short-term like that, and that's fun. But if you build willingness, if you build some level of extreme power into what you do, your evidence procedure is going to be a little bit different. Now, it's easy to walk up to somebody, okay? The amount of time I've spent in internal kung fu, I could walk up and shatter somebody's head just by punching them. Bang! And that's it. Quick evidence. That's called force. I walk up, I hit them, and their life changes forever. Pretty quick evidence procedure. Their head flies backwards, smashes off the bar or the ground, I get to go to jail. 2 lives changed forever. Very, very obvious. Boom. Just like that. We can apply that to our non-local stuff too. If we want to have a different type of interaction, okay, Carol and I are out. I feel something. I localize where it comes from. And if I can't localize it, I still have the intention. Okay, I'll match it. On some level. And I go specific with that. I'll match its breathing. Boom. Sometimes I match breathing and look around to find whose breathing did I match. As that's happening, what do? I touch something appropriately. And the shift happens. Now, the cool thing is, okay, we've experienced this in a lot of different ways. Carol and I were visiting our son when he was in jail. And there was a guy that comes into the waiting room, and he's really pissed. And I'm pissed that he's there. I can just feel it, right? Notice that there's a non-local connection there. I can just feel him getting anxious before he even enters the building. He enters the building, I go, oh, there it is. Ugh. And so I synchronize breathing with him. And I start touching something in a way that is appropriate. And I let it go. And then this shift happens. I feel a shift in my body. And after I forget about it, the guy walks past me when he's leaving. He's got a tear in his eye, and he touches my arm. There was no contact made before that. There was no reason for there to be. And yet the result happens. The girl at the bar turns out to be one of our best friends after time. For some reason, she's comfortable talking with us. Hey, how you doing? I'm John. She's comfortable talking with us and being open. It's that cool. It's that simple. When we start tossing this out, one of the main things that I want you to notice and start flirting with is levels of power. If we drop down to the level of lust, boom, that ain't gonna work. The guy walks into the jail waiting area, and he's full of anger. And I mirror that. Before I even see him, that's beginning to be mirrored. This happens constantly in life. The thing is, are you fast enough to notice it? Are you fast enough to notice it? If we're going to notice it, we get to play with some of the drills like on the essential drills, so on and so forth. We'll share some of the little things here to notice. But what we get to notice is, are we fast enough to pick up on this? Because if I stay in the level of anger with the guy, there's a good chance we're going to end up changing each other's lives forever. And if I'm able to take that anger, I don't shift the anger. Okay, what I do is I go from matching the anger, because that showed up. The girl at the bar, I ended up matching, outside of consciousness first, her feeling of emptiness. Then I matched her breathing. So go from matching one thing, which is what shows up, to matching something with deliberation. Got it? If we're doing it this way, and you'll probably notice there are at least 4 ways we demonstrate this on the tape, on the CD, whatever this thing is. If we notice what you're matching first, and then shift to match something with deliberation. I don't deliberately change his anger. What I do is I go from the state that showed up to matching something else, which is outside of consciousness. Okay, if I match, if I match like something which is conscious for them, that's bullshit. But almost nobody's aware of their breathing, and so I match breathing. So notice what we do first. The state matching occurs. And then we move on to matching something that's more obvious, like breathing. Once we match the breathing, then I find something that I can touch appropriately. While I'm touching something appropriately, I do it from a level of power. Whether it's caring, whether it's willingness. And again, what am I willing to go into with them? The stripper is willing to go into a level of lust and desire with her client. And sooner or later that seems to get every stripper that I've ever known. But they don't just function from wantingness. There's a wantingness and a willingness to go there. And so that's where we'll play for now. And so if you watch television, or any of the old movies that came out in the 60s, we have this thing about aliens coming to the planet. And like H.G. Wells' Time Machine, the horns blow and everybody goes into deep trance and behaves in a different way. That's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for direct changes in behavior. What we're looking for is the first thing you're going to notice if you're having any type of results are a shift in breathing. Not just in yours, but in theirs. So if you notice a shift in their breathing, that's one of the first indicators that you really want to keep your awareness focused on. And you can notice that visually, which is amateur and beginner, but that's okay. Do that. Okay, the second thing you'll notice, again, if you just got hooked on noticing visually that their breath had changed, that's requiring you to do a perceptual shift. What we want to do is maintain the shift on kinesthetic. And literally, one of the things that I notice, and again, this came from years of noticing the shift visually, notice visually that when the breathing does change. Okay? And when the breathing changes, notice yours is shifted as well. You probably won't notice that at first, because you're paying attention to the visual instead of your kinesthetic. So the second step you want to go into is noticing a shift in your breathing. The shift in your breathing is often indicated by a shift in theirs. And again, if you take this as a learning curve as far as steps, notice visually. Okay, here's step number 1. Notice visually their breathing shift. And that will often come along with what we're going to talk about in just a moment. But notice a shift in their breathing visually. And notice that your breathing is shifted as well. Eventually you can start ignoring the visual, because you'll just know, gotcha. Okay, when Carol and I are out, and I'm a guy, I'm not a bad-looking guy, and when a girl, like, primps, okay, right before she tosses her hair a certain way, if she thinks I'm cute, there's a shift in her breathing. I don't even have to see it. I can feel it. I locate the girl, then I'll watch the hair shift. I mean, that's just an old one there that you can notice. But you're going from the visual external to the kinesthetic internal as far as noticing. We've also talked about, and this is again another indicator that you got to keep in mind, okay, the third one here, which is the lining up of the chakras. We're going to talk about these a little bit, but literally there'll be a shift. There'll be a shift in body position often. It may be subtle or it may be very big. But for example, whenever we have a heart-to-heart connection, we can stay away from the C word because sometimes that's a little confusing. But if we have a heart-to-heart connection, the two hearts will get closer. When the girl at the bar, when the technique is working, her body shifts. She comes up and then settles down a little bit, and her heart moves closer to me. Okay, if it was sexual, on the other hand, the heart still may move closer, but there'll be a shift on the downstairs. The hips will move in a certain way. If we're just focusing on the heart will move closer. If it's just sexual, the heart may move closer, but the big thing is going to be downstairs. If you've got both going on, notice both shifts. We'll get into some details in that in a couple tracks or on the next CD. I'm not sure exactly where yet. So we want to do that. We want to keep in mind too, okay, again, if you want to have a lasting ripple effect, what you got to do is you got to come from a place of power. The places of power include that of courage. Okay, courage. And again, write these out. This is really important. If we're going to come from an area of courage, the number one thing that we want to consider there is courage is not bravado. I'm going to go kick his butt. Okay, courage is being open and honest. I put a post up on the email list where I screwed up. I wrote an email, and it was a fresh new email, but I wrote it as a reply, and there was another email below it, and it could have looked damaging to the one fella that wrote the original email. So I emailed the list and said, hey, you know what? Sorry, guys, I was lazy. This has nothing to do with this one fella. Then I wrote the guy at home on his private email, says, look, man, I was lazy. I apologize. This has nothing to do with you. I just clicked buttons and wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. I apologize for that. And I mean it. Now, that's courage. The ability to take a good hard look and go, yeah, you know what? We have a little thing that we're releasing called the get to, got to pattern. And it all has to do with our world of illusion. And until we can acknowledge that, we fantasize or we have some illusion in there, it's going to run our entire lives. When I have people that call me up and they're telling me how great they are, my thought is, why the hell are you calling me? If you're trying to impress me, you're not. If you have something you want to work on, let's do it. Quit wasting my time and yours. Because to say, you know what, this is where I need some help. Hey, cool. That requires courage. Boom. So that's the first power attitude. The second power attitude is detachment. Or let's say non-attachment. We're not attached to the results. The second power attitude, and if you have the Vibrating Palm Volume 1, you'll see these in there demonstrated physically, is, again, I'm walking to the bar. I feel the emptiness, okay, kinesthetically. Okay, I lock in on the girl, and our breathing matches. And while I'm at the bar, I'm touching the bar, intending kinesthetically to be touching her appropriately. And you notice I'm not going, oh, I hope she gets it. Oh, I hope this gets her a certain way. Honestly, I don't care. I toss it out there. And if it comes, it comes. It may not come at that point. It may show up an hour later. It may show up a week or a month later. It may not show up at all with her. It may be somebody else that affects. When we're playing with this, we have to allow ourselves to disengage from being attached to the result. If we're attached to the result, that engages wantingness, which pulls us down into the area of force. So we get to let go of that. The third area, okay, or the third power engagement attitude, is that of acceptance. Accepting the opportunity. Because if you're listening to this now, and you're learning this technology, you have a responsibility, and you'll develop an ability to use this stuff. When I'm walking to the bar, I don't go, oh yeah, that's what's her name, I'm going to blow this off. If it's affecting me, it's affecting me. If I've come across it, there's a reason why I've come across it. Generally, I don't blow people off when they call me on the phone. If they call me on the phone, there's a reason that we've hooked up. And so I explore that. That doesn't mean I have to continue exploring it. But if there's a connection there, we take the time to explore it. Okay, there's an acceptance there of the ability and the opportunity to play with this. If you're interested in this, you've taken a step of acceptance. And finally, the one that we're flirting with very intensely here is willingness. And again, willingness is phenomenal because I want you to be under my control. That way I'm in control. Literally, you're out of control wanting to control other people. Literally. And on the other hand, if I'm willing to experience a dance of ecstasy, a dance of joy, if I'm willing to flirt with you, because I'm flirting with me at the same time, I'm flirting with what's possible, then, and this is what we do during every honor coaching session, where am I willing to go with you? Where are you willing to go with me? That's where the power shows up. If we're going to work with this, again, the technique is very simple. We've demonstrated at least 2 slightly different ways so far. If we're going to play with this very small micro method, it's not the fact that it's got 72 steps and you have to beat the bum 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 drum and all that stuff to get results. The results come from the willingness. They come from the power attitudes. And that's what's cool. If we're going to play with that, when you had complete little Indian groups getting together, and we were going to do a sweat lodge, and we'd sing and we'd dance and we'd build the fire and we'd get the rocks in the lodge, we came together. We were willing. We didn't want to do a lodge. I mean, a lot of people, hey, yeah, you know what, I want to do a sweat lodge. Yeah, cool, nice, have a nice life. But are you willing to help me, construct a lodge? Are you willing to help me? And again, it's not no big hocus pocus stuff. The power from it comes from, among other things, the willingness of the group, the acceptance of the responsibility, the detachment of, I really want a lodge because I know I'll finally get my... No, it's not about want. There's a non-attachment to the results. And there's the courage to say, you know what? Let's do this. Let's come together as a group and work with these 4 attitudes. Let's come together as a complete human being and work with these power engagement attitudes and discover what's possible.